Greetings and salutations, everybody. Anthony here from Anthony Around Town, brought to you by the Hilton Garden Inn, Iron Horse RV Resort, Elko's Relay for Life, and the Garden Grill and Bar located in the Hilton Garden Inn. Today we have a very special guest joining us. We have the founder and creator of the website that's celebrating its 1-year anniversary tomorrow, Mr. Anthony Crosby himself. Anthony, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Anthony. I really appreciate it.
No, we just appreciate you taking the time. Hey, man, by the way, you're looking really good. You're looking really good. See, you're staying nice and fit. And by the way, I really like that shirt. You think I could borrow it sometime?
No.
Oh, well, that's okay. Maybe some other time. But hey, before we talk about Anthony Around Town's 1-year anniversary, and you maybe give us a little behind-the-scenes look into what this last year has looked like for you, maybe some of the viewers checking us out are checking things out for the first time, and they may not know you so well. So we're going to play a game called 10 Random Rapid-Fire Questions, okay? Under your chair, you have 10 random questions out of nowhere. We want you to look at those questions and answer them with just a second, one quick second to think about what your response would be. Just give us the first thing that comes off of your head as you read these questions. I don't even know what these questions are. You've never seen these questions before. These questions were actually provided to us by our production assistant, Mr. Matthew Rahm. Matthew, say hi.
Hey man, I'm a big fan.
Hey, no breaking the fourth wall, Matthew. We talked about this. Sorry about that. It's hard to find good help these days. But anyways, we're going to play 10 random rapid-fire questions with you, Anthony. Anthony, whenever you're ready, start answering those questions.
Okay, sounds good.
Let's see. All right. Who's a better cook, your mother or grandmother? Ooh, grandmother. What's the fullest you've ever been? Check out my video I made last week at the Gold Dust. You'll see me eat a giant burger. That's the fullest I've ever been. What is the most interesting game you've ever come up with? I used to play a game with teenagers called the Blender of Mystery. I would take the most random things I could find in a supermarket, put them in a blender, and make teenagers drink them. What 3 activities would you rate 10 out of 10? What would you do again? Things I would rate 10 out of 10, making and eating popcorn, doing this interview with you, and watching The Notebook for the first time. What first world problem do you have? I hate losing my car keys. It's the thing that drives me the craziest. I don't even know what they are right now, so I might rage after this video. What song would you pay money to never ever hear again? Any song from High School Musical. If you were born in the 90s, early 2000s, you know what I'm talking about. If you're too young for that, you're too young for that. What are you really happy about being terrible at? I'm very terrible at math, which I'm happy about because our teachers told us growing up we would never have calculators in our pockets to help us. Turns out they were wrong, so I don't really need to be good at math because I have an iPhone. What is the most interesting thing you could do with 400 pounds of cheddar cheese? I would take a giant swimming pool, fill it with 398 pounds of cheddar cheese, take the other 2 pounds, put them over some chips, melt them on the chips, have nachos in my hand while I dive into the pool of cheddar cheese. I call it the Nacho Divo. And what is the funniest joke you know by heart? Funniest joke I know by heart. What did the tree say to the soccer player? I'm rooting for you. Get it? Because trees have roots. And you know there's a popcorn question in this, right? I'm assuming this is it. So what's the best popcorn you've ever had? The best popcorn I've ever had was of my own creation. Take a little bit of grapeseed oil, cook it down, pink Himalayan sea salt, put that in the grapeseed oil, let it cook, let it simmer, put white popcorn seeds in that, let the popcorn seeds get nice and fluffy. Then you add an array of cheeses on top of those fully cooked popcorn kernels. As good as it gets. So I think that's the 10 questions. Dang, those are some good answers, Anthony. I never would have known those things about you, so it was pretty cool getting to know you a little bit, buddy. But right now, I have a question for you, okay? So we're looking at Anthony Around Town's 1 year anniversary tomorrow, Friday, October 12th. Everybody's obviously very, very excited, but we have you. We have the man behind the site here sitting with us. So we want to know some inside stuff that only you can answer, right? So my first question is, give us the 3 most common questions you get from people when you talk to them about Anthony Around Town. What do people usually ask the most about your website and what you do?
3 questions I get asked the most. The first one is, "Hey Anthony, this is cool. I like your content. Are you doing this for the newspaper or for the magazine or for something like that?" Usually people just assume, which is fair, that I'm associated with one of them, and the truth is no. Like, all of the content I produce is independently produced through me and my host site. And so yeah, I do some like collaborations, like with Everything Alcohol Magazine. I've done some stuff with them, but for the most part, it's all independently created, and I strongly wanted to focus on that because I'm just a big believer in independent media content. Because one of the awesome blessings of technology is that anybody could hop online, open up a website, start a blog, start a podcast, start making videos, and get their voice out there. You don't have to have a journalism degree. You don't have to be some big fancy reporter. Everybody can share their voice in positive ways. And so that was one thing that just meant a lot for me, and so that's why I chose to go down that route and producing things myself. And I'd like to see more people in our town and do stuff like that, because I'm not the only one in our city with a voice. We have lots of great people in our city with great things to say. So there's that one. Second thing is, "Hey Anthony, like, how do you make money by doing Anthony Around Town? Like, I don't get how you get to do this every day." To answer that simply is, we just have some great sponsors from some great local businesses who believed in Anthony Around Town, believed in its possibilities, and believed in its outreach in our community, and they wanted to get behind it. And so they support Anthony Around Town financially. I think you said it at the beginning of this video. We have the Hilton Garden Inn. We have Iron Horse RV Resorts. We have Elko's Relay for Life. And then we have the Garden Grill, a great restaurant located in the Hilton Garden Inn. They're our main sponsors, so they help us financially put the content out every single week and free me up so I can do what I need to do. Then we also have B3 Glass. They sponsor our Friday segments that we do every week, focusing in on small businesses and highlighting them and the people who run them. So B3 Glass is also one of our awesome sponsors. So it's because of them that I get to sit here with you today and make videos and talk to people around town. The third question that people ask me the most is how do I pick the people that I interview? Do I have like some kind of scientific process determining who I interview? And the answer is no. A lot of it is people referring other people to me. So people saying, "Hey Anthony, I know this person, I know this guy, I know this girl with a great story or a great event or thing that they're doing. You should talk to them." And usually I'll get their information and I'll go reach out to them. Sometimes it's just me online scrolling through Facebook or something like that, and me coming across somebody who I think would make a good person to sit down and interview with. And but other than that, no, that's the beauty of Anthony Around Town, is that I don't have to search out only specific people to look for, or high profile people, or people with a certain appeal, because everybody has a story. So I can, again, talk to a sanitation worker one week, talk to the Elko County Commissioner another week, talk to a beauty pageant contestant one week, then the next week talk to a musician or somebody who works on the radio. The possibilities are endless, and so I just go find people. It's Elko's people site, so just go look for the people. Those were some very astute answers, my friend. Thank you for clarifying some of those questions. But again, we have the man, we have the Anthony of Anthony Around Town sitting with us today. So we want to know some more behind the scenes details. We want to know some of that trivia. So give us a couple of behind the scenes facts about Anthony Around Town that nobody might have ever guessed in a million years. Let's see. Okay, so one of the little taglines I use when talking about Anthony around town goes like, hey, this is Anthony around town, Elko's people site. Our goal is to take the stories and experiences of some awesome people in Elko and share those things with their neighbors. So that's kind of my running commentary on what Anthony around town is every time I produce something where there might be somebody new checking it out. So in that little write-up, those 2 sentences, I have the word experience in there, experiences. And I might have written those 2 sentences 100 times, and I have spelt the word experience or experiences wrong literally every single time I write that sentence up. I don't know why, I just cannot spell, I can't even say it, I can't even spell the word experience. So if you ever see the word experience in one of my write-ups or posts, just know the autocorrect had to help me with that. The second thing is one thing I've had to learn when talking to people is, when I talk to people, obviously the goal is for them to share their stories, talking about their lives and their childhood and stuff that's really, deep and important to them. And so before how it would go, I'd sit down with somebody, we kind of go over what Anthony Around Town's about and how the interview is going to go. We go through the interview, and then at the end, I try to take their picture for the profile picture, or the pictures I want to use through their feature. But what I've had to do is I've had to switch the order of that. I've had to take the picture first because, I don't know, it's maybe not really that funny, but sometimes we'll be getting really, really deep when we talk about this person's stories or experience. And so, sometimes they just might end up crying, and which is fine, which is good, because sometimes we're talking about some real stuff, some stuff that doesn't even end up being written about in the future. I often talk about with these individuals, and so just as anybody, after you're crying, your eyes all red and puffy, and so nobody wants to take their picture after that. And so what I've had to learn how to do is just take the picture before doing the interview, just in case, if we do get real, people, need to have a good cry, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with a good cry. Then at least they're looking good for their picture before. So that's just a couple little things that maybe nobody else would know besides me. Okay, very interesting. Thanks for sharing those things with us. But let's get a little serious for a sec. So you've been running Anthony Around Town for a year now, producing content. Of all the big things you've been able to accomplish so far, what would you say has been your biggest takeaway from your first year? What is something that you feel like you've learned the most after your time so far?
I would say just involving people's stories in and of itself. Because again, my goal is to talk to people about their stories and who they are. There's other great outlets in town that cover the what that's going on in Elko, the specifics about events and goings-ons, but my goal is to talk about the people behind all the what that's going on in Elko. And so I try to focus more about who that person is, again, where they came from, why they even got involved with our community and doing what they do. And what I've noticed is that sometimes most of the times I'll talk to people about what they're doing, because again, they want to share their experiences and what they're excited about. But what I've noticed is that people find it really easy to talk about what they're doing. Like, hey, I'm doing this, I'm putting on this event, I work at this job, I'm raising money for this, and which is all good. Like, what they're doing is really easy for them to talk about. But what sometimes is harder for people and takes a lot of, not a lot, but maybe a little encouragement or prepping and coaching throughout our conversation is when they just talk about who they are. Because for them to sit and to think about who they are, where they came from, actually what they've been through in life, either number one, they just haven't thought about it in a long, long time because maybe they've just gotten so busy they haven't really thought a bunch about their past, or the reason why they've gotten so busy in the first place is because they just don't really want to think a lot about their past, because some people have been through some pretty real stuff. And plus, it's just really easy these days with social media and with putting out certain images that we want to portray to the world for us to only highlight what we do to get that recognition, but to actually dive deep and figure out who we are, like I said, it's not the easiest for people. So that's just what I'm thankful that I get to do, is I get to help some people in our community sometimes figure out who they are and what their story is and how they got to where they are today. Because, with what I do, I recognize the weight that comes with these people every single week sharing their stories and their journeys with me. I think that's been the biggest thing I've really taken away this past year, is I just didn't realize how much of a weight sometimes it is being entrusted with that. It's stewarding those stories. Because, again, like I said, people are sharing stuff with me, stuff that doesn't even get sometimes published online that I write about, but still sharing stuff with me that is real. It's very human. It's very deep. It's very personal. And they're saying, here, Anthony, here's all this stuff about me. Sometimes I've known the person. Sometimes I've met the person just literally when we sit down at the coffee shop or wherever we meet. And they're saying, all right, I'm entrusting you to now take all of my personal stuff that I just shared with you, and not only just know it for yourself, maybe this guy I just met 2 seconds ago, but to take that and to share it with the Elko community, and to put it online for people to see. That takes a lot of trust from people to have in me to be able to do that. And I don't take that trust lightly. I take that with, again, like I said, there's a lot of weight to when people trust me to do that, because I want to portray them in the best light possible, because, again, these people are who I believe to be good people in our community. And sure, they're not perfect. They've had their mistakes. They've been through this, that, or the other. But at the end of the day, I want the people of Elko to celebrate their stories, to maybe even be encouraged by their stories, and to uplift one another in our community by doing this. So my goal is, by sharing these stories, you see somebody who, like, hey, I read your feature on Anthony Around Town. It's really cool that you've been through that. Thank you so much for sharing. Or I read your feature on Anthony Around Town. I read that you went through something pretty heavy and pretty real and pretty sad. I just want you to know that I'm going through that now. And so to read that somebody else has gone through that really means a lot, that I'm not alone in going through this stuff or whatever. There's just so much more to it than just talking to people and putting their words on the internet. It's hopefully something that'll bring us closer together as a community, as we get more real with one another, and we, again, stop talking so much about, hey, this is what we're doing, which again is fine, but to truly get to know our neighbors at a real foundational level. Hope it'll bring us together.
Awesome, man. Well, seriously, thank you so much for stopping by and answering some questions with us today. We really do appreciate it. We wish you much luck and success as you head into Anthony Around Town Year 2. Keep up the great work. You're really doing some great stuff. And you truly are looking good, man. Looking good. Alright, hey, my name is Anthony from Anthony Around Town. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you like what you saw, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below so you can check out future Anthony Around Town videos, as well as head over to anthonyaroundtown.com to see all of our other content. Until next time, we'll see you around, Elko.